Well, welcome to the next episode of Startup. So in this next group, I don't even know what it is. I'm just going to run through some videos and start putting them together and see what we get. So hope you enjoy. Thursday, October 10th, 2024, 8:13. A little later start on the day. Michelle's in Indianapolis, and so I've had been in for all week, so I had to take care of Dexter, our dog. His bad kidneys and peeing and stuff. So he's been in the office a few days, and she's getting home probably 3, she's estimating. So I just had to get him an 8 o'clock walk, and we figured that should cover it. Kathy, Nate's right hand, she's been out this week training with us, and so she's gotten to see the warehouse, and I've got her working with her through Monday. So I just have a ton of stuff too. I've been working to get off the DOT, the Department of Transportation, get off the DOT number. There's some issues that. It was interesting. The buyer never really came out. It was interesting. The buyer never really came out before the sale either. He never really looked at it. He came out once, I think. I gotta remember. But with the training, with learning the business or doing anything, he never came out to see it. He sent Kathy as a right-hand person to spend a week. So I spent, a week with her and had her spending time with the team too. But that was just interesting. Changing the bank, there's some issues changing the insurance over, where the insurance initially said that they can't just change ownership in the policy. They have to rewrite the whole policy. I relayed that to Nate, and he disagrees. So I'm trying to get someone with the insurance to respond, but the one I've got is out on vacation till the 14th. So there's that. There's the bank. Again, he thinks he should be able to take it over. I'm getting my banker, got her email bounced, trying to find someone at US Bank who can help me. The next person I found, his email bounced. I called, said this banker is assigned to you now. So they didn't have his phone number, know where he was from, but they gave me his email. So I emailed him yesterday, haven't heard back from him. So I just have to keep blowing up US Bank. I would think they'd be interested in responding sooner rather than later. Just, here's a new customer for you. Some good opportunities, but I don't know. But they're saying, what I'm hearing is, since it's a sole proprietorship, that it can't be assumed or taken over. It has to be a new account opened. And again, I'm like, well, hey, can I just get someone on the phone and tell him that? Because Nate's not taking my word for it. So rather than I'd rather it just come from the bank. I'd rather it come from the insurance company. I'm not, the one trying to throw up roadblocks or anything. I just want it to go easily as well. So when you're selling a business, the biggest thing, especially a transportation business, is just getting your name off of it, in terms of with the Department of Transportation, with the insurance, with the banks. And Offsite was an LLC, and the purchase happened where they took over the entire company. So it kept the same tax ID number, and everything stayed the same. And I wanted, ultimately, because there still are always those areas where stuff reaches in. If I'm still tied into that bank, I want to be completely off the bank. There was just a lot there in terms of, getting the process done. It took months, and I still had to pay attention to every single little thing. You have a 14 years of running that business, doing whatever you can to make sure you be taken off of all the right spots, that you're not part of that business anymore. And so it's liability, it's risk. If on the insurance, I don't want to have the trucks get in an accident. That was probably the biggest fear I had running a transportation company, was if something happened, if there was an accident, and my liability and risk associated with it, because you had that risk every single day. And it was just, I was putting my future in the hands of the drivers every time they went out there, and them paying attention and not being on their phones, and them following the rules of the road and being responsible and not getting angry or doing road rage. And we never really had any problems with any of that. But we did have some moments that definitely were stressful. The remaining pressure now is on the new ownership's ability to execute, to make sure that there's a good flow of business coming in, so he's a happy buyer, and that I will also have a better chance, or be better, positioned to collect on all the money I'm essentially loaning back out on this thing, long term and the short term, because there is the seller carry too, which is a 30-year. So there's a considerable amount of risk still on my part associated with this that I got to navigate through. Definitely in a better position and happier, and just got one more week of this full time. This is next Friday. out. I mean, Friday the 18th will be 15 years to the day almost, the starting offsite.
14, yeah.
Yeah. Monday, October 14th, 2024, 7:24 a.m. Heading in. It's a little later start. Had to get some water, filled the 5-gallon water jugs at the Circle K. So, final week at offsite. Still have a lot to do. Last week had Kathy in for the new ownership, so a lot of explaining and training and how stuff works there. Task that I want to make sure to focus on is the company getting business in. And it's a little frustrating. I sent a thing to Nate where I thought it was a good opportunity to vilify me with this in a touch, separate himself and send it. So I pre-wrote him an email to send to Chris, gave him Chris's address, put the email in place, and I sent it to him. And I said, hey, why don't you copy and paste, put this in your email and send it to Chris? Basically, said, hey, Rachel mentioned, you're a big account out there, and that maybe you and Scott didn't see eye to eye on some things. Well, I purchased offsite, and we're here to start a clean slate and like to earn your business. Da 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 da. And so I'm like emailing the other day, like 2 days later, like, hey, how'd that go with Chris? You hear anything back? He's like, oh no, I haven't sent it yet. I'm like, dude, send it. I don't think you understand. You need to fucking send it. And some of this other stuff too. So I'm gonna pump up and make all the sales stuff I can, but it's got to be maintained. That's the big thing with offsite. And the takeaway learning on that is, it's been, especially post COVID, the economy's really been up and down. Like you'll have a great month and a bad month and a great month. So what happens is that causes problems in understanding if you're having trouble with an account competitively. So you may think, oh, that's just a slow month. That'll pick up next month. You look, oh, how come my TG is down? Oh, just a slow month. And then you don't pay attention to maybe it's a little bit more the next month of it, not much. Okay, yeah, just bad, slow economy. That's where it goes in your head. It's like, no, someone took the account. That's really what happened. And so learning that you've got to stay on top of the accounts, even if they're current, and you still have to continue to do a sales and marketing effort and engage them. And you have to always be going after the new ones. And I don't know that Nate understands that. I think he's feeling like it's just going to come in every month, and it just doesn't work that way, at least not in this business. And so I told him I thought he should get a salesperson. Even had a job post, an inside salesperson. He didn't like that idea. I was like, look, you can use it for multiple companies if you want. If you don't feel there's enough opportunities for offsite, you can use it for your transfer, your recycling, your transportation, all this stuff. Have one person selling all of them. Got to have something. I mentioned it again to Kathy in her visit too. She heard to get a read on her on what her take was. I don't think she'd want to say anything to contradict Nate, so she just kind of didn't say anything. That's a big deal. And basically for me, I'm looking at it like extending credit for this term plus the 30-year seller carry note. That's if he's not going to put a sales effort into this, then it's not going to grow. And even though we've gone up and down and lost some business just went away. Like to him, I think 40, 50,000 a year out of Washington was just the storage. And they're storing it up in Seattle now. I mean, we didn't piss them off. We didn't lose the business. They just decided they could spend less money doing the return to storage that way. Nothing I could do about that. So you got to replace that business, or just your profitability for it. So we'll see. I'm going to work on sales this week and right next, and collection, sales and collection, sales. Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, 6:47. Heading in. So I'm walking out of the apartment, live on the second floor. The parking is down in the basement. And I get to the elevator, I got the wagon, took up the water last night, the 5-gallon jugs. I'm bringing the wagon back with some trash and stuff, go down. And I get to the elevator, and there's a little sticky note, a little chicken scratching on it. It says, elevator out of order. I don't just believe everything I read. So I hit the down button and the elevator door opens up. I, what the hell? This is great. Elevator's fine. So I get in the elevator and then the doors close and I go to the button to hit the down button and then the key map doesn't work. Try to hit the door open, that doesn't work. So I'm standing there in the elevator. I guess I called Michelle. Had to have her come rescue me and get me on the elevator. All she had to do was walk down the hall and come and hit the button. And the door's open, at least that way. But otherwise, that wouldn't have worked. I would have had to wait till someone on the other floor hit the button. And then it would get me in there. I get out, kind of like a cat trapped in a bedroom. I bolted it out. Go to the Circle K. I'm getting my coffee. There it is. And I've seen this a bunch of times. It's just a little alarming, but how common it is. Dudes on their way to work, and they pick up an energy drink and 2 or 3 little those shots of booze. So this guy today, in the 2 men in the truck shirt, going to go drive a moving truck around, and he's picking up an energy drink. And he had
people.
2 shooters of, I don't know what, bourbon or something. It was a dark liquor, but a golden colored liquor. Maybe it definitely wasn't a liqueur. It looked like hard stuff. But yeah, it's not the first time I've seen that. So makes you wonder how many guys, makes you wonder how my company, my old company, how many of these people were pulling that shit too. You just don't know. And looking forward to the next chapter. But I gotta say, just so grateful and appreciative of being able to sell and being able to get something for it and selling and being on to my next chapter of my life. And look, for my health, my family, my life, everything. I'm very grateful. That's how I'm feeling. If I had a theme today, it's gratitude, appreciation for everything.